Good morning, everybody. I'm Josh Sindahar, the Texas Hill Country Conservation Network Manager, and I'm thrilled to introduce this morning's panel. As we were talking about today's theme of cultivating a community of stewardship, it became very apparent that a lot of the work that we're doing may not be realized in today's communities, but in tomorrow's or a future year's communities. And so it became very clear to all of us that we needed not only to discuss the work that's going on with our partners in today's community, but also discuss how we make a sustainable future for those communities to come. And so I'm thrilled to have our moderator, Sarah Coles, talk about, to continue the metaphor, dig in a little deeper about planting seeds and some of the seeds that we're seeing already to sprout. So I will have Sarah come up and introduce our panelists, and we'll start that discussion.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us this morning. My name is Sarah Coles. I'm Executive Director of the Texas Children in Nature Network, and it is my honor to moderate today's panel. Josh started bringing us together a couple of months ago, and so we're really excited to bring this conversation that we've been able to have over Zoom to y'all. And so I'd like to go ahead and introduce my panelists. We'll do just a quick introduction of who everyone is, and then we'll go through and say what all of us do. So first, we have Fidel Gonzalez with Austin Youth River Watch. And then Tom Corser with the San Antonio Arboretum, which is new. So if you haven't heard of it, this is your chance to learn more. So first of all, kind of like our first question, which then leads to what we do, is how do we plant seeds for conservation in all of our work? So I'll talk a little bit about what Texas Children in Nature Network does. So we are a statewide nonprofit working to engage children and families in the outdoors. And we do that because research is showing us a few things. One, from a health perspective, kids who play and learn outdoors are healthier physically and mentally. So we're doing a lot of work in the public health space right now. We also know that kids who are outdoors regularly during the school day are better prepared and perform better in school. But in terms of our conversation today, one of the other things we know is that kids who have a meaningful outdoor experience by the time they are 11 grow up to be conservation leaders of tomorrow. And so we really do focus on how do we, by investing in kids' lives, really make an impact in our future and how we're impacting conservation outcomes in the next 30, 40, 50 years. And so, Fidel, do you want to talk a little bit about your work?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Fidel Campuzano Gonzalez, like Sarah mentioned. I'm the co-executive director of Austin Youth River Watch. So I started about 2 years ago, but interesting story is that I was a river watcher in high school. So I was a part of the program back in 2010, that's when I joined the organization as a student. And then I just stayed involved throughout the whole time since now, actually. So I was invited by a friend to come. Essentially, all she told me is that they were going to pick us up in a white van and take us to a park and test water quality. And also, that's a joke that we have, but also get paid for that. So I was like, well, how can I say no to that, right? So I joined her, and then I just stayed. I was given the opportunity to be on the board as a student, and then also intern, and then be on the board while I was in college, and now the opportunity to be co-executive director. So what we do, a little bit more about that, is we inspire and transform youth through environmental education, community engagement, and adventure. So we're getting them outdoors. The core thing that we do and how we started is water quality testing. We actually work with the LCRA, and we provide the data that our students are collecting so that they can do their own analysis. So we hold about 20 of their sites, doing a lot of work in Austin. So we work with 9 Austin ISD high schools and then also Del Valle High School. So that's kind of the area that we're serving.
Tom?
So I'm Tom Corser. I'm the CEO of Arboretum San Antonio. It's a new organization that we've just formed in San Antonio to create a 188-acre arboretum. Arboretum is really just a place for trees, but we're extending beyond that, right? It's a place where we can honor and revere water, trees, land, soils, and community. And so it's an important thrust that we have, not just what we're doing, but where we're doing it. It's in the southeast part of San Antonio. Those familiar with San Antonio will know that a lot of the development that's happened, a lot of the investment over the last 100 years has been in the northern side of San Antonio. And the south has historically been underfunded, I will say, right? A lot of corrections been done in recent years at the city and the county level to correct that. One of the things we're trying to do as a private organization, a nonprofit, is to correct that, right? To offset that and create a revered green space in the south side of town where people can go and understand their land, their water, and their trees, to understand their heritage as told through those stories. So it's really an important thrust that we have to create this green space, and it's a long-term process. And that's one of the things that we're really trying to calibrate San Antonio, South Texas, excuse me, is that this is not something that's going to happen tomorrow, and that people always ask me, when are you going to open your doors? Depends upon your definition of opening doors, because it will take a long time. And so it's a real honor to be leading this, and it's also very intimidating. And so it's really nice to see communities like this coming together that want to spawn that same initiative, that same passion about how we bring people understanding land, the water, and the trees. So it's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. And y'all are probably hearing all of our organizations and you're like, that sounds amazing. That is dream work. It has to be really easy. And that is all they just have sunshine and rainbows everywhere they go. That's not true. We have some challenges. And so Fidel, would you like to talk about some of the challenges that Austin Youth River Watch faces in terms of audience and kind of how y'all are addressing any of those challenges and really thriving in what y'all are doing?
Yeah, definitely. So we are equity-centered organization. So we work primarily with BIPOC youth. High schools is the audience we work with. And we really try to remove all the barriers that a high schooler would have, especially in that community. So we provide full transportation, which is a big thing. So we pick them up after school and drop them off at home. It's not even back to their high school, it's back to their front door. So we provide that. We also feed them, and we also give them a stipend. Some of the challenges that we've had is with the transportation. We work primarily in Austin, and as a growing city, there's a lot of traffic now. So when I was a high schooler, back in Riverwatch, we used to go back to our Eco House, which is out in Hornsby Bend. Some of y'all might be familiar with that area, but you can imagine getting from Aikens High School, McCallum High School, which is all the way on the other side of the city, back to the Eco House. So that's not an option anymore, especially after school. We're having some challenges with transportation right now. So having to now, because we feed them, we have to pack up the coolers, and we have to find a space where we eat. So transportation is a big issue with them. It's just finding places to get them to, especially as the days get shorter right now. It's a little bit more challenging to do our water quality or whatever activity we're doing that day, and then also have enough time, enough sunlight for them to eat dinner and then also get them home. So our drop-off routes have also increased by maybe 30 minutes up to an hour. So by the time we get all of our students home, it's probably 10 o'clock, sometimes even that late. So that's a big challenge that we're having right now. And then also talking about natural resources, water. So we do water quality testing. That's the bulk of our programming. Sometimes, especially in the summer, we show up to creeks and there's no water. So we've had to diversify our programming. We're getting more into GSI stuff. Also looking more at riparian restoration and teaching them more about that. So rather than doing water quality now, we're teaching them how to be proactive and engage in those other projects that we can do with other communities and other organizations that are already doing that work as well.
Wonderful. Tom, you talked a little bit about the fact that you're creating a space in San Antonio. So you're creating a space physically, but also kind of metaphorically for this community as well. So would you like to talk a little bit about some of those challenges that you're facing in that work?
Yeah, so unlike Fidel, we're very early in the process. We're foundational, if you will. And so right now we're in the middle of master planning. We've hired a firm called Sasaki that's helping guide us about developing a plan for a 188-acre former golf course, that how we can transform that into that place, right? And so one of our challenges, not challenges as much as efforts, I would say, is to engage, right? Awareness and involvement and opinion. So that master planning effort, we've got surveys, we've got focus groups, we've got events that we're holding to gain the opinions and gain the inspiration from San Antonians about what they want to see at an Arboretum, to help teach them what an Arboretum is, to teach them what it could be, and help guide them along that path, and guide us, quite honestly, along that path. People ask me all the time, what would you like to see at the Arboretum? And I hesitate to give them an answer because I'm just one voice. I can't be the voice. I've got to be one voice. And so it's really important that we gain that opinion and work towards awareness of what an Arboretum is and could be for San Antonio. So I think there's a lot of things that we can do and should do as we move on and we implement the plan that's coming out of our master planning and create that space of engagement. But we're not there yet. And I think the big overriding theme for us right now is making sure that we have the opinion of San Antonio to form this Arboretum, and that we have the information of all the experts. We have focus groups where we've invited people of various ilk to inform us on what they think is important, from heritage to environment to education, things like that, youth, that we make sure we have the right foundation of opinions and ideas about what this Arboretum should be. So I think that's kind of foundational of what our challenges are today.
Yeah, at Texas Children in Nature, our mission statement is to ensure equitable access and connection to nature for all children in Texas. And so one of our biggest challenges when we talk about access and connection to nature is literally a numbers problem. We know a few things about Texas. One, our public land is small. We have somewhere between 5% and 6% public land here in Texas. That number just had a big growth this week. So Texas Parks and Wildlife, congratulations on adding some good hill country land to their public land offerings. And so we have that number. And then we look at the fact that by the year 2050, Texas will have 50 million people here. That's a lot. Right now we're at about 33 million, so in the next 30 years, almost a doubling of our population. And most of that is going to be in what we call the Texas Triangle, which is San Antonio to Dallas to Houston. So most of that population is going to be in that area. And then, to make things even more exciting, we in Texas have about 10% of the school-age population in the entire country lives in Texas. So we have a lot of people, a lot of them are kids, but not a lot of land. And so when we're thinking about connection to nature, we're thinking about a few things. We're thinking about how are we engaging our private landowners and how they are working with organizations like Austin Youth River Watch in helping get kids connected to the land on their land. So we're working with a lot of private landowners with that in mind. And then we're also thinking about, okay, what are the resources that our communities already have in hand to build out more nature access within their community? So we're working with ISDs. So a lot of the times within city property, the largest landowner is the ISD. And so we're working with them to build what we call green schoolyards. These are beyond your traditional playground that you see on school campuses. It's really putting in natural habitat, rain gardens, nature playscapes for kids to engage and learn in the outdoors in that time. We're also working with libraries for the same purpose, to really look at how are we engaging our cities in their libraries, in their outdoor space. And then we're also working with early childhood centers, much like we are working with our ISDs. Most of these early childhood centers are privately owned, so we're working with them as well to really look at how we're increasing nature access, but at the same time, the ecosystem services that come with working with those landowners to really increase conservation access in those spaces. So that's some of our challenges. We also have a challenge of we are a big state. Texas is big. I don't know if y'all knew that. We're big. And so we are about the size of France in terms of our land area, and we have a population around the size right now of Canada. So we're big. We got a lot of people. We got a lot of land. And so for us, we work with over 900 partner organizations across the state to really look at how can we work together, because we know this is more than one organization can do on their own. Which brings me to our next question. All three of us are nonprofits. So we know that we do all of this great work, but we can't do it on our own. We need fundraising and financial support in order to do this, because as much as we would all love to do this out of the goodness of our hearts, we have to pay for land, we have to pay for staff, we have to pay for all of these things. So how are you addressing the challenge of fundraising in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, lots of collaboration. Lots of collaboration with other nonprofits, going after those bigger grants that we wouldn't be able to go at as a small organization, but once we partner and collaborate with somebody else, we're able to. So that opens up different doors, different opportunities for students even. Like I'll give you an example. So Green Workforce Collaborative, there's a lot around workforce development right now, and there's a lot of funding for it. So that's a big part of what we do. So we're partnering with other organizations who do the same thing, work with youth, to be able to go after those big grants.
Tom?
So again, different place in time is the Arboretum San Antonio. We're at the stage now where we're just increasing awareness. And I think that's where fundraising starts, is letting people know who you are, why you are, where you are, all those things, but also creating that excitement. And I think that's one of the things that we're able to accomplish through our master planning, is creating the excitement about this place, about the Arboretum that we're creating on the south side of town. I think one of the challenges we have in creating that excitement is getting people aligned to what it can be and the definition about an Arboretum, and what it can bring youth, what it can bring families, what it can bring various communities of interest, whether it be educators, whether it be historians, in terms of capturing that history that the land brings and the stories you can tell through the land, whether that brings stewards of our climate that need to have a place to do research or do education, do experimentation, to bring people to inspire. One of the interesting things that we have that we really want to embed in our community and the knowledge of the Arboretum is we're creating a space which is going to be very special, but we're also trying to create an idea of an Arboretum, where that Arboretum, we can create that space to create the ideas and the concepts of how to conserve land, how to revere our water, how to take care of our soils, and all those fundamentals, but have that idea extend into San Antonio, extend into the ranches of South Texas, extend into somebody's backyard, and have those ideas of an Arboretum. And I think those are fundamental to how we can gain the attention, awareness, and excitement of those philanthropists, of those state funders, of the federal funders, about the place we're making and the idea of an Arboretum, how that can extend beyond our 188 acres that we have. So I think those are the challenges that I see of convincing all those different parties that bring money to an effort like this be extended. And we can't forget the challenge of engaging those $25 donations that we get and creating that wider family. It's that donor pyramid. Many of you might be familiar with the donor pyramid, where you get those big donors up top who give you a large sums of money. Very important that you steward those and you care for those, right? That's what enables you. But really the enablement happens down at the bottom, where you get $25 donations, and because of your engagement, because of their involvement in the Arboretum San Antonio, they move up to 50. And then eventually they move up to 100 and so forth. And so it's that migration up that pyramid that I think is our challenge, is engagement of the full pyramid of donors.
Yeah, in one of our many calls, we talked a lot about this idea of competition versus collaboration. I really inherited a great culture of collaboration when I became the executive director of Texas Children in Nature Network. And this is very much thanks to my predecessors, Nancy Herron, the founder, and Jen Bristol, who was the executive director before myself, really set up this culture within Texas Children in Nature that we are not a competitive network. We are a network that's here to build each other up in the work that we do. And I think that really ties into that challenge of fundraising, in that we are working together, just like you said, Fidel, to really look at how can we maybe partner on fundraising efforts, how can we help support each other. Maybe I find a grant that isn't the right fit for me, like I would love to go for these dollars, but it doesn't fit what we do, but it fits what Tom does. And so I'm sending it along to Tom and saying like, hey, if you need a letter of support, let me know, want to help you out in this effort. So really for us, that's really comes down to it, is that sense of collaboration versus competition. And with that...
Oh, Sarah,
go ahead, yes.
Yes, you mentioned private landowners. So during the summer is when we also have a summer program, and that's when we have our students longer days. So we start pretty early on, and then they're on with us till like early afternoon. So that's when we're able to take them on longer trips. Part of the Hill Country, and then also San Marcos. And then east of Austin, there's a private landowner that opens up their ranch to us. And that's like the favorite day for the kids, because they're able to go out there. We test water quality in the creek that runs through her property. And then they also engage with their horses, which is like, for a lot of them, they've never seen a horse so up close. So it's really fun experiences for them, and really memorable experiences as well. So we're really thankful for her, because that's also another day that we get to add to our summer programming.
I want to join them.
Yeah. So do I. I don't get to all the time.
With that in mind, Fidel, you're really making an impact on the lives of the students that are participating in your program. How are you helping your students make that transition from participant to champion for conservation?
Yeah, definitely opening up the opportunity to them. So like I said, my story, I was allowed to be on the board even as a student. So it was very interesting for me. It was an interesting experience. There was a lot of growth that we still had to do as an organization that we're doing now, because I went to my first meeting and I understood nothing. So it's like, like you're engaging youth, but also make sure that they're understanding. If you need to change your board meeting structure, like make sure that that's happening, so that you are actually able to engage them, and so that that board meeting is meaningful for them. So in our organization, we are working on our values, and we decided like student voice is centered. So even if we're not able to have a student present, we're able to have their feedback, whether it's through a survey, a focus group that we did before we had our workshop for the values meeting. We did focus groups with all the students. Almost all of them participated. It was optional, but they almost all chose to do it anyway. So we gathered that feedback and we implemented it into our values. And now one of our values is fun, because that is the word that came up with them. And that's really the memories that we're making in our students. For a lot of them, it's the first time. Part of our mission is adventure, so it's their first time kayaking, it's their first time canoeing, going out camping. We have a 5-day spring break trip. We now have a spring break trip and a summer trip, but our spring break trip We have done for many years since I was a river watcher, and that's one of the biggest memories that our students have. For a lot of them, it's their first time camping. The last 2 years, we've gone out to Arkansas, which is wonderful for them because a lot of them have never gone out of the state. So they're able to say, I went out of the state this spring break, which is really cool to say when you're in high school, right? When you come back after spring break and they're like, what did you do? Well, I went out of state, I went camping. For a lot of them, it's their first time having a s'more by the bonfire even. A lot of them have not experienced that. So making those memorable changes in their lives. And then that's like those memories, because we have our senior dinner every year, and those memories are the ones that always come up. We ask them, like, what's one memory that you had? And it's always being out with my friends, doing this adventure. Remember when this person fell into the pool? Like stuff like that. That's what comes up because that's what they're out there doing, and that's what we're enabling for them. So also making sure that, yeah, like I said, those opportunities are there for them to engage if they want to and participate in more of the decision making. So that's part of it. And then we do have other success stories. So we have a lot of them going into the greenfield. Some of them are working for Keep Austin Beautiful, City of Austin, Forestry Department, environmental engineers as well. So there's a lot of stories that they do engage in green careers, but even the least is that now they're able to experience nature responsibly because we teach them about L&T principles. So it's like they're going out there, enjoying nature with their families in a responsible way.
You're planting quite the seed
Yes.
for conservation. Tom, you've talked a lot about how you're working to build community. So how are you doing that while recognizing the historical lack of investment in that community?
Yeah, so context, right? San Antonio, like I said, has underinvested in the South Side. And you know, I did when we first formed the Arboretum, we did a little bit of a study to understand the green space in San Antonio overall. And from from an acreage, we're pretty even across the state, across the county of Bexar County. But from an investment, they're really offset, right? So we're really trying to attend to that and create investment and create the rationale for that investment. And you know, we've seen a lot of growth, and we're seeing Austin and San Antonio kind of grow together. And there's been a lot of good nurturing of that, and there's a lot of issues associated with that growth. But as a result, we've had a big push on the South Side, right, to expand development and industry down there. And so having this foundational green space in the South Side of town is really important for that developing community, right? And so I think there's a great deal of enthusiasm for this and attention. It's just making sure people stay focused on what we want to create versus, yeah, we'd like to have a place to go play, but more about how we can create a place for communities to come together to create awareness of some of the concerns that this group has in terms of the land, the water, and the trees and so forth. Really important that we do that.
As we are winding down our time as a panel, the question now is, so what does this mean for all of us in the room? So how can we really take our theme of cultivating the seed of stewardship, and how can we bring this to all of you, bring this to your communities? So Tom, how are you seeing development of your community around the work that you're doing?
So, you know, again, in the master planning phase, we don't have an Arboretum now, so I can't speak to how that Arboretum is developing that community, but the master planning phase has brought in an amazing community between partnerships with like-minded folks, be it the Great Springs Project, be it Bare Branches, which is all about planting trees in San Antonio, to the American Indians in Texas, those partnerships, to the Native Plant Society and the master naturalists and master gardeners that are just very enthusiastic. So there's a lot of engagement there, to the point where they're knocking on my door to say, how can I help volunteer? And I'm holding them off because I want to make sure that's an engaged volunteer effort, right? So we're challenged by those things, but it's a great deal of support, but hanging on to that community by way of weaving our message through folks that are represented in this room and folks that are on the stage with me is making sure that theme and those purposes are aligned and that partnership is maintained. I think that partnership can't be underestimated.
And Fidel, for all the folks in this room, you've talked a little bit how you're engaging the Hill Country in the work that you do, but how can groups here become more involved with Austin Youth River Watch?
Yeah, definitely. So we do have a lot of our volunteer opportunities are in Austin, but we also have opportunities to engage as organizations, collaborate again. So we have taken our students out to West Cape Preserve, opening up those opportunities for them to be able to get to know the area around them. Like for me as a river watcher, like I didn't get to know Austin until I joined Riverwatch, and that's when I found out about even my neighborhood park that was so close to me. I didn't really care about until I joined Riverwatch and I learned the importance. So if you're out in the Hill Country, definitely collaborate so that we're able to engage our students and be able to have them experience that as well.
Yeah, for if any of you are interested in working with us at Texas Children in Nature Network, there's a few great ways to do that. One is we have regional collaboratives that meet both in Austin and in San Antonio, and so would love to have y'all joining one of our regional collaboratives. We have our summit coming up December 11th through 13th in Waco, Texas. Would love to see all of y'all there if you're interested. And then we host webinars regularly as well, where we're really talking about these deep issues that are affecting how children and families are spending time outside. But I think that brings us to the question and answer time.
Can I
oh, yes.
enter one plug? Again, master planning, we have on our website, arboretumsa.org, we have a survey. And we'd love your opinions about what you'd like to see at an arboretum in your area, and this is certainly captured in South Texas, right? But also what's important to represent in that arboretum. And so having those opinions, having those informed opinions about what we should do would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. So I believe that we have some folks with a microphone, so if you have any questions.
Any questions? All right, I've got one person here, and then Marisa, let's go here next.
Thank you. This is a question for Tom. Could you tell us a little bit more about the land of the Arboretum, a little bit about it, the history, why you chose it, what the state of it is, and is it native? Is it what's going to happen?
Perfect. Great question. Sorry for not mentioning that in my introduction, but a former golf course, 188 acres on just off of Southeast Military, for those familiar, and it's just east of Brooks, where they transformed 3,100 acres from an Air Force base into a municipality. It's got the Salado Creek running through it, so the majority of the land, about 80% of the land, is in the floodplain, 100-year floodplain, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for trees. They don't mind having their feet wet now and then. But it's got a former golf course, so it has 4 miles of concrete cart paths in place. Interesting thing, when they formed this golf course 24 years ago now, it was all forested. It's second generation forest. Used to be a farmland, but they cut down these trees to create the fairways for the golf course, and they had these piles of trees, and they decided to chip it up, combine it with turkey manure, and they fertilized those fairways with about 4 inches of mulch, which is great for soil restoration. But it's got a recycled water contract from SAWS, which we have 300 acre feet, meaning we could put about 19 inches of water over that land for every year. We're not going to do that because that would be an irresponsible representation for the people of San Antonio and the use of water. But it's great because we're not going to be consuming any Edwards Aquifer water for making it green. We're looking at various expansions from a facilities perspective and additional for access and some existing buildings that were there in the golf course that wasn't in the transaction. But it really is a ready-made place for an arboretum. It has trees, it has meadows, it has all those features that you'd want in an arboretum. We just got to transform it into that. Does that help? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dana Slover, and I want to commend all of you for what you do for not only our environment, but our children. That's a big passion of mine, is teaching children, which is the future. So my question is to any of you or all of you, have y'all reached out to Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts organizations to collaborate? I'm just a big collaborator, and I think they would probably be able to be a resource to you all in many ways, or participants for you. But they have Eagle Scout projects, they have plant a trees, Arbor Day, all kinds of things they get involved in. But just educating them, or a lot of them are trained leaders and the youth for Leave No Trace, and teaching those classes or workshops. I didn't know if any of y'all reach out to those as resources or attendees or participants or helpers.
We work with both the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts in our partner listings, and work quite a bit with the various councils across the state. So.
Yeah, we haven't actually partnered with them, so I'll jot that down. But that also kind of brings up another challenge for us, is because we transport our students, we have a cap, is basically how many seats we have in the van. So even if we want to serve more students, it's a little bit challenging, because that means we have to buy another vehicle, and getting funding for vehicles is really, really hard. So that's another challenge that we usually have to consider as well, with growing our students we serve.
One of my favorite parts of my job right now is we bought ourselves a golf car, 6-person golf car. And those 4 miles of cart paths that we have, we give tours of people to inspire, to tell them what we're doing, and to show them the land, and show them what's so inspirational about what we bought. And I have golf cart tours for both the Boy Scout and Girl Scout regional leaders to kind of say, hey, this is a potential fertile ground, pardon the pun, for those Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts to be out there and be on the land, to understand projects, how they can contribute to the Arboretum through their Eagle Scout projects or Girl Scout projects or group projects, things like that. So very excited about those 2 tours that are coming up.
Hi, sorry, I'm behind the TV. I heard a couple of y'all's organizations mention equity a couple of times, and I was wondering how equity supports y'all's organization, whether it's fundraising or actually how you plant those seeds in community stewardship.
I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, we couldn't hear the question real well. Is it possible to repeat it? Sorry.
Sure, can you hear me now?
Not really.
Hello? Okay. Hi. Maybe I had to stand up. I heard y'all mention equity a couple of times in some of y'all's organizations. How does equity support the actual work that y'all do in community stewardship?
Okay, great. Yeah, so how does the equity impact our work? So if either of you want to go first, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for us, it's meeting the students where they are, essentially. It's like providing that transportation, feeding them, providing the stipend. For a lot of the communities that we work with, the transportation is a huge deal. Like, it's like their parents, they wouldn't be able to do our programming if they didn't have a way to get there. So it's removing those barriers for them. So that's how it kind of impacts the work that we're doing.
And I think I've already answered that, in the sense that we're trying to provide that equity balance in terms of green space in San Antonio. And I think a lot of San Antonio recognizes that and appreciates it, right? So I think our challenge is to follow through with that promise, if you will.
I think for Texas Children in Nature, a lot of it is working to get everyone's voice heard throughout the process of working with different communities, and making sure that youth have a voice at the table, minority populations have a voice at the table, and not just saying, oh, you're at the table, but we're going to make these decisions, and you just get to sit at this table, but really engaging in a deep, in-depth conversation. Again, like you were saying, Fidel, meet folks where they are, and then also really think about like how are everyone's nature experiences very central to their being and to their culture as well. And so everyone's nature experience is going to look a little different, and that is great. That's part of what makes the work we do pretty amazing.
I'd add, with respect to Arboretum San Antonio, one of the things we want to do is push forward this idea of our heritage and have the land, the water, and the trees express and communicate to residents of South Texas the heritage of South Texas and where we came from and why we revere our land, our water, and our trees. And if you think through that, as our board has done, it comes back to how can we highlight, how can we exhibit and teach people about our Native American heritage. And that's really caught on in terms of this master planning, the feedback that we've gotten about our Native American heritage. And we've gotten communities of the Native Americans in Texas engaged with us, and they're very excited about having a place where they can teach about taking mesquite seeds and grinding it up and making bread for people to show them how they did that back in the day, things like that. So I think that's another important aspect of equity.
Yeah, that also brings up for us the collaborations that we do. So this summer we took our kids down to San Marcos River, and we partnered with the ICI, the Indigenous Cultures Institute, and they gave a talk on their creation story, and they spoke to our students about the importance of the springs here in Texas. So also making sure that they also hear that side of the story.
You done?
All right. Well, let's thank our panelists for a great session.